In this podcast episode, Dr. Nicole LePera delves deeply into the intricate relationship between our nervous system, childhood experiences, and adulthood behaviors. The discussion covers how a dysregulated nervous system manifests in daily life, the legacy of childhood adaptations shaped by ancestral and environmental factors, and the power of reparenting the inner child. Nicole highlights the profound impact of parental archetypes, the challenges of healing, and offers practical strategies for reconnecting with the body and fostering nervous system regulation. She also touches on the broader social implications of dysregulation and the importance of personal transformation. Nicole describes a foundational feeling of stuckness as a sign that the nervous system is out of balance, the inability to shift reactions in the moment despite conscious effort. This underlying restlessness, agitation, or conversely numbness signals that someone feels either uncomfortable in their own skin or disconnected from their body altogether. Dysregulation affects not only physical sensations, but also clarity of thought, groundedness, and relational abilities. Frequently, this dysregulation is revealed in intimate relationships through disproportionate reactions such as anger, sensitivity to criticism, or withdrawal. Central to Nicole's framework is the concept of the inner child, a part of ourselves formed during childhood that retains learned ways of surviving within environments of unpredictability, conflict, or unmet needs. Many adults carry these outdated coping mechanisms unconsciously, which manifest as reactivity or emotional patterns they struggle to change. Despite some adults' lack of clear memories, their nervous systems still reenact childhood experiences through responses that feel automatic or overwhelming. The inner child lives within the body, driving urgent emotions and behaviors even in adult contexts that are no longer dangerous, creating a cycle of repeated patterns. Nicole explains that in childhood, attachment to caregivers usually takes precedence over authenticity because the child's survival depends on maintaining that relationship. This often results in children contorting or suppressing their true selves to gain acceptance and love, even if the parent's ability to attune or regulate was limited. This dynamic can lay the foundation for deep shame and dysfunctional coping strategies, where the child internalizes feelings of unworthiness as if the problem lies within themselves rather than acknowledging parental limitations. Healing involves recognizing these survival adaptations without blame, moving from shame to compassion. Healing is portrayed as a nonlinear, lifelong process requiring more than intellectual insight. Nicole highlights the common trap of getting stuck in blame or analysis, where people gain awareness but continue to repeat the same behaviors. True change necessitates bridging insight with embodied action, moving from mental understanding to regulating one's nervous system in real time. This requires expanding tolerance for discomfort, which is inherently difficult because habitual patterns conserve energy and reduce uncertainty. Change feels uncomfortable because it demands bodily and nervous system shifts, not just cognitive shifts. Interpersonal dynamics particularly highlight nervous system regulation challenges. Both Nicole and the host discuss sensitivity to criticism as a key area affected by early experiences. Criticism often triggers past wounds where self-worth was conditional. The ability to respond differently comes from recognizing the origins of that sensitivity and learning to disentangle the past from present. Building the capacity to receive feedback without automatic shame or reactivity. Nicole shares how she personally managed fear of criticism by gradually exposing herself to feedback in supportive environments, practicing boundaries and nervous system regulation. Triggers are described physiologically as moments where the nervous system becomes flooded and shifts from a grounded, present state to fight, flight, or freeze responses, activating old survival instincts in present-day situations. These moments often result in reactions that feel disproportionate or uncharacteristic and are a biological response rather than a conscious choice. Recognizing triggers as teachers rather than failings reframes the path towards self-regulation. Healing involves learning to pause, notice physical sensations, and choose new responses instead of falling back into habitual dysregulated reactions. Nicole points out how chronic busyness often masks nervous system dysregulation. Keeping oneself busy diverts attention outward and keeps uncomfortable internal sensations at bay. For those who never felt true safety or calm in childhood, stillness can feel threatening, heightening agitation and unease. Overscheduling and distraction become ingrained coping strategies that prevent connection to the body or emotions. Healing involves learning to tolerate stillness and quiet, reclaiming the body's natural rhythms, and moving away from externally driven validation. The conversation expands to include how stress experienced by ancestors and even prenatal environments shapes the nervous system through epigenetic mechanisms. Nicole shares her personal story of being born amidst familial health fears and environmental stressors, noting that these inherited sensitivities set some individuals up with hyperreactive nervous systems from birth. This intergenerational transmission stores adaptations that once supported survival but may now contribute to dysregulation in modern contexts of safety. Understanding this broadens the lens on healing, emphasizing the depth and complexity of nervous system programming. Nicole categorizes common parental styles, such as the status-oriented parent, the critical parent, and the over-permissive parent, exploring their imprint on a child's development. The status-oriented parent emphasizes achievement and appearance, often leading children to equate worth with external performance and to hide perceived failures or messiness. The critical parent communicates shame and self-doubt, producing an internalized harsh critic. These archetypes often exist in complex overlaps and are expressions of parents' own limitations and adaptations rather than flaws in children. Nicole stresses separating unconditional love from conditional approval rooted in achievement or behavior. Responding to the question of how parents can encourage their children without being overly critical, Nicole differentiates between criticizing outcomes and honoring effort. She advocates focusing on genuine effort rather than only results, reinforcing self-worth regardless of achievement, and engaging children in conversations about their own perspectives on trying their best. Recognizing that parents are imperfect and conflict in relationships is natural, she encourages creating opportunities for accountability, repair, and honest communication to foster secure attachments throughout life. Nicole emphasizes that healing involves both acknowledging unresolved pain and moving toward new choices. Acceptance is distinguished from condoning or feeling good about past trauma. Instead, it means recognizing reality and its ongoing impact in order to rewrite personal narratives and responses. This process involves grief, anger, and difficult emotions, requiring both presence with those emotions and gradual expansion of nervous system capacity. Healing is not perfect or a single event, but an ongoing evolution that enables integrated and compassionate self-relationship. One of the most practical pillars of Nicole's approach is embodied awareness, shifting attention away from mental analysis and towards sensory experience in the here and now. She advises simple conscious check-ins throughout the day that focus on physical sensations such as muscle tension, breath, and heart rate. These anchors reveal the current state of nervous system regulation and create opportunities to calm and resettle. This grounding allows more informed, responsive choices rather than habitual reactivity. Importantly, she encourages starting with small, accessible moments of presence in everyday activities rather than forcing uncomfortable, idealized meditation practices. Nature and movement are highlighted as powerful tools for nervous system regulation. Nicole describes her own experience with walking in natural settings, noting how bilateral eye movements and rhythmic physical activity support emotional processing and brain hemisphere integration, enhancing healing from trauma. Even in urban settings, listening to nature sounds or finding green spaces can positively impact regulation. She also mentions breathing, grounding senses, and mindful walking as accessible ways to cultivate presence and soothe the nervous system. Nicole stresses that healing is highly individualized and no one-size-fits-all protocol exists. The body signals what it needs and determines readiness for specific interventions like cold therapy or fasting. She warns against rigid adherence to external health protocols that ignore personal context, advocating instead for self-trust, flexibility, and tuning inward. This nuanced approach acknowledges fluctuating capacities and the importance of self-compassion throughout the healing journey. Beyond the individual level, Nicole addresses how widespread nervous system dysregulation contributes to societal divisions and conflict. When in survival mode, our nervous system narrows attention to self-preservation, diminishing empathy and the ability to hold multiple perspectives. This state fosters combative, black and white thinking and can escalate to social discord and violence. Healing at the personal level is presented as a means to shift these broader dynamics, creating ripple effects of increased safety, compassion, and connection in communities and future generations. Navigating criticism is approached as a skill that can be cultivated through gradual exposure and setting boundaries. Nicole shares that the way we handle feedback is intertwined with nervous system health, and that by regulating ourselves, we can better tolerate discomfort. She highlights the value of trusted communities for receiving constructive feedback and the importance of recognizing when one is at capacity. Healing is about learning to sit with challenging emotions without overwhelming dysregulation. Nicole clarifies that intrinsic motivation, such as passion and purpose, need not be abandoned in healing. Rather, the goal is to hold drive and ambition without letting them be fueled by shame, fear, or a need to prove worth. Rest, flexibility, and honoring one's limits become equally important. She emphasizes self-care practices grounded in compassion rather than rigidity or punishment, promoting healthier relationships with ourselves and others. A powerful theme is that healing is for both the inner child and the parts representing our parents or caregivers. Recognition that emotionally immature or stressed parents were themselves limited creates space for compassion and change. Working through these generational wounds offers the possibility to break cycles and create more attuned versions of ourselves, not only for our own benefit, but for the collective future. Nicole's book and online membership, The Self-Healer Circle, provide tools, meditations, and community for individuals navigating this healing journey. These platforms offer workshops, group connections, and therapeutic guidance to support sustained work on nervous system regulation and relational patterns in a safe environment. The importance of belonging and feeling less alone is underscored as essential to recovery and growth. Simple behaviors such as accepting compliments without deflecting, allowing oneself to cry without apology, and choosing to rest unapologetically are highlighted as indicators of nervous system regulation and healing. These everyday acts signify a growing capacity to be seen, feel emotions fully, and honor one's needs, cornerstones of the reparenting process. Nicole reassures listeners that it is never too late to change, emphasizing that the very act of seeking awareness is itself an act of healing. While patterns may be long-standing, understanding their origins and embodying new choices opens the door to transformation. People are invited to move beyond self-criticism and embrace the possibility of grace, recognizing that healing is a courageous, ongoing journey accessible to all.